I'm going to show you guys how to make this super cute number 4 granny square. I also have other number granny square tutorials for you to check out. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate it more than you guys know. And let's get started. I'm going to be using DK weight yarn and a 5mm hook. You'll need scissors and a darning needle. All right, start with a slip knot. Chain 24. And then starting in the second chain from our hook, we'll single crochet and single crochet into each chain. So you should end up with 23 single crochets. And then chain 1 and turn, and then the next 2 rows are going to be single crochet rows. So single crochet all the way down for this row, and then 1 more single crochet row after. So a total of 3 single crochet rows if you include the first one that we just made. Now on to row 4. We'll start with a chain and turn. And we'll start with 13 single crochets. And on that 13th one, we won't complete the last step of it because we're going to switch colors there. So I'll show you that when we get there. 12 and then 13. So don't yarn over and pull through with this color. Also bring your working yarn back because we need it all on one side, because this is going to be the back side of our granny square. Then bring your new color over and pull it through. And once again, make sure your yarn stays on one side, and you can kind of hold your yarn in place. And then we'll bobble stitch into the next stitch. Specifically, we'll do a 5 double crochet bobble stitch. So we'll yarn over, insert, grab your yarn, pull it through. Yarn over, pull through 2. You should have 2 loops on your hook. And then yarn over, insert, grab your yarn, pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2. Should have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, insert, grab your yarn, pull it through, and then yarn over, pull through 2. Should have 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over, insert, grab your yarn, pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2. Should have 5 loops on your hook. Yarn over, insert, grab your yarn, pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2. You should have 6 loops on your hook. And we're not going to complete this bobble stitch with this same color because we're switching colors again. So before completing the last step of the bobble stitch, we'll grab our primary color and then just drag it from wherever it's at, and then yarn over and pull through all the loops on your hook. And then single crochet into the next stitch and single crochet for the rest of the row. Should end up being 9 single crochets. And then chain 1 and turn. And this will just be a single crochet row, but I'll show you working into bobble stitch because it can be sometimes hard to see where to insert. So I'll show you that when we get there. So just single crochets. Okay, now into the bobble stitch. So you have to kind of look on the back side because the bobble stitch curves backward instead of up. So you gotta look on the back side and just find the V. Just find the V, and you know it's the V you need because it's coming out of another V, if that helps, because sometimes it's kind of hard to tell with the jumbled up yarn. So a V coming out of another V. So hope that helps. And then just continue single crocheting for the rest of the row. All right, onto row 6, chain 1 and turn. And this one's going to be exactly the same as row 4. So we'll start with 13 single crochets, and that 13th single crochet will switch colors. And then 13, we won't complete that single crochet with our primary color. Switch colors again, so find that working yarn. And just drag it over from wherever it's at. And make sure it's not too tight. Give yourself a little bit of slack or else it'll just curve your work a little bit. So, and then the next stitch will be a bobble stitch. So yarn over, insert, grab yarn, pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, insert, grab yarn, pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, insert, grab yarn, pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, insert, grab yarn, pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over, insert, grab yarn, pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2. Should have 6 loops on your hook, and then we will complete this bobble stitch with the other color. So switch colors again to complete that bobble stitch, and then single crochet into the next stitch, and single crochet the rest of the row. Should be 9 single crochets, and then chain 1 and turn, and this will just be a single crochet row. And onto row 8, chain 1 and turn, and we'll start with 7 single crochets, and that 7th one is where we'll switch colors. And 7, and we'll switch colors again here. And bobble stitch into the next stitch. And we're not going to switch colors here like we've been doing after the bobble stitch, because there's only going to be 1 single crochet in between each bobble stitch for this row, so you won't really be able to see the single crochets in between, so it doesn't really matter. So we're going to keep the same color and complete this bobble stitch. So yarn over, pull through all the loops, and then single crochet into the next stitch. And then we'll bobble stitch into the next stitch. And this one we can keep the same color as well. So pull through all the loops, single crochet into the next stitch, and then bobble stitch into the next stitch. And once again, we can keep the same color. So yarn over and pull through all the loops, then single crochet into the next stitch, and then bobble stitch into the next stitch. And keep the same color. Complete that bobble stitch, and then single crochet into the next stitch. And the last bobble stitch here, and this one we will switch colors at the end of it. All right, and switch colors before completing. Make sure to give yourself enough slack There, the color you're bringing over, and pull through with the new color, and single crochet into the next stitch, and single crochet for the rest of the row. Should be 7 single crochets. Then chain 1 and turn, and this is just a single crochet row. All right, on to row 10. Chain 1 and turn. We'll start with 7 single crochets. And 7, we won't complete that 7th one with this color. We'll switch colors. And bobble, stitch into the next stitch, and we'll switch colors again, single crochet into the next stitch, and 4 more single crochets, so 5 single crochets total. And the 5th one we won't complete because we'll switch colors again. And bobble stitch into the next stitch. And gonna switch colors again here. And single crochet. The rest of the row should be 9 single crochets. And then chain 1 and turn. And this will just be a single crochet row. And onto row 12, chain 1 and turn. And here we'll do 8 single crochets. 8, and the 8th one we'll switch colors. And bobble stitch into the next stitch. And we'll switch colors here again. And then single crochet into the next 4 stitches. And that 4th one we won't complete. That color, we'll switch colors again, and bobble stitch into the next stitch. And once again, we'll switch colors to complete this bobble stitch. Then single crochet the rest of the row. Should be 9 single crochets. Then chain 1 and turn. And this will just be a single crochet row. Onto row 14. We'll chain 1 and turn. We'll start with 9 single crochets. And 9, and we'll switch colors here. And bobble stitch into the next stitch. And we'll switch colors here again. And then we'll do 3 single crochets. And 3, this one we won't complete with that color. We'll switch colors again. And bobble stitch into the next stitch. And once again, we'll switch colors. And single crochet the rest of the row. Should be 9 single crochets. And then we'll chain 1 and turn, and this will just be a single crochet row. And onto row 16, chain 1 and turn, and we'll start with 10 single crochets. And 10 we won't complete. We'll switch colors. And bobble stitch into the next stitch. And we'll switch colors here. And then we'll do 2 single crochets. We won't complete that second single crochet with that color because we'll switch colors again. And then bobble stitch into the next stitch, and once again switch colors, and then single crochet, for the rest of the row. Should be 9 single crochets, and then chain 1 and turn, and this will just be a single crochet row. Onto row 18, chain 1 and turn, and we'll start with 11 single crochets, and that 11th one we won't complete with that color. We'll switch to our other color, and then bobble stitch into the next stitch. And this one we can keep the same color here because we're only going to put 1 single crochet in between this and the next bobble stitch. So go ahead and complete it with the same color, and then single crochet into the next stitch, and then we'll bobble stitch into the next stitch. And this one we will switch colors at the end of it. All right, and we'll switch colors here. And single crochet for the rest of the row. Should be 9 single crochets, and then chain 1 and turn, and surprise surprise, this will be a single crochet row. Now on to row 20, chain 1 and turn. Start with 13 single crochets, and 13 we won't complete that one. We'll switch colors and bobble stitch into the next stitch, and once again we'll switch colors here, and single crochet for the rest of the row. Should be 9 single crochets, and then chain 1 and turn, and of course a single crochet row. And then the next 2 rows after this one will also be single crochet rows. So we'll do 3 single crochet rows, and then can fasten off with your primary color, and I'll meet you back after that. Okay, I did my last 3 single crochet rows, and then I fastened off. And what I'm gonna do, because the border is exactly the same for each number granny square tutorial, I'm just gonna insert the clip from the number 1 granny square tutorial that I did. So don't be confused by the fact that it won't be the number 4, it'll be the number 1, but it's exactly the same for each one. So follow that next, and I'll finish my border on this one, and then I'll meet you back, and really we'll be done after that. You can cut this and then just rejoin. However, I'm gonna leave it because then it's just one less tail to weave in at the end. So I'm just gonna drag it over. I'm gonna start in the top left corner. I'm also gonna work around my tails as I go as best as I can. So I'm gonna bring this mint color over. I'm gonna start in this last stitch here, so that last single crochet that we had made. And then I'm gonna pull it through. Make sure it's not too tight. And then chain 1. And then in that same stitch, we're gonna single crochet, and we're gonna single crochet into the side of each row. So basically in between each knot. So you can kind of pull your stitches apart to be able to see better, but basically between each knot, or what looks like a knot, is where you'll single crochet. So we already did this first one, and then next one, and the next one. And we're just gonna do that all along the side here. And then that last one is kind of like in that foundation chain, so it might look slightly different. So it should end up being 24 single crochets along this side, and along the bottom and also then the top. We're just going to increase into the center stitch by adding a stitch, and that's just so we can end up with 24 single crochets as well. First, we will chain 2 though to make our corner, and then we will single crochet into that same stitch that we just single crocheted into, because now we're working into the side, the other side of it. So into that same stitch. $11, and then into that 12th stitch, we're gonna do 2 single crochets, and that will be our increase that we need. So 2 and 2, the same stitch, and then just single crochet for the rest of the row. And then 24. So you should have 24 single crochets now along that edge. And then chain 2, and we're going to do the same thing along this side as we did on the other side by single crocheting into the side of each row. But the first one will be into that same stitch that we just single crocheted into, because now we're working into the other side of it. And once again, you should have 24 single crochets. And now we're going to work along the top edge, just like we did on the bottom edge. So we're going to increase in the 12th stitch. So chain 2, and then working into that same stitch, the last stitch that we single crocheted into, and then into each stitch. 11, and then into the 12th stitch, we'll do 2 single crochets into the same stitch. And then 1 single crochet into each stitch for the rest of the row or round. Okay, I just did my 23rd single crochet, and then the 24th one, so the last one is going to be worked into that same stitch that we started in. So that very first stitch, single crochet, and then to complete this round, to join, we're not going to chain 2. Instead, we're going to chain 1, and then single crochet into that first single crochet that we made. Okay. and then we'll chain 1 just to secure it. Okay, and then into that space that we made with that chain 1 and single crochet, we're going to single crochet into that. So you kind of have to pull your stitches apart a little bit because you want to work under that single crochet. So single crochet, and then single crochet into each stitch. So it should end up being 26 single crochets total if you include the corner ones. I just did my 25th single crochet, and now into that chain 2 space that we had made in the last round, we'll do our 26th single crochet, and then chain 2, and then into that same chain space, single crochet again. And then single crochet into each stitch. So we're just going to repeat that until we get back to the beginning. So single crochet, and then into that chain 2 space, single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet, and then single crochet, and then into this corner, chain 2 space, single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet, and then single crochet into each stitch. And then I'll show you how we're going to end this round. So I'll meet you back once you have finished and when you're back at the beginning. I just did my second to last single crochet, so my 25th single crochet of this side, and then into that same space that we started this round in, we're gonna work our last single crochet. And to end this round, we're going to chain 2, and then we're gonna do an invisible join. So give yourself a long enough tail, about like at least 6 inches. Grab your darning needle or tapestry needle, whatever you want to call it. And we're going to insert into the second single crochet of the round. And that's because we're going to cover up the first one with a fake stitch, basically. So here's the first single crochet of the round. We're going to insert under the second single crochet of the round. So insert, bring your needle back, and then into that chain that your tail's coming out of. So that chain we made, second chain we made, here's our tail. We're going to basically work into the back loop of that, and then pull through, tighten slightly, and you can see that it makes a V, so it makes a fake stitch. And then you gotta weave it in pretty good to secure it. And then weave in any remaining tails. All right, and we are done. I really hope you enjoyed that tutorial, and don't forget to check out the other number granny square tutorials as well as my other videos just to see if there's anything else you want to see. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like what I'm doing. That way I know what things people are liking, and I really appreciate it. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.